Come B2B with me.
What's going on? It's Come B2B with me, NoDave Columbo Jenkins. I'm in Exeter today with man like Lakeway. How are you doing, man?
I'm all right. Still here. Still alive. Loving it.
Loving it. We've never done a back-to-back before. I have seen you play a lot of times, though, more than other people that I've done this show with so far.
Yeah.
How many B2Bs have you done? Do you do them regularly?
As a massive narcissist, not really.
Wow. Okay, so
This is a rare one.
Cool. I'm actually quite nervous about this one because I've seen you play quite a lot of times. I've had a really, really busy week, mainly working on your album and stuff like that. I don't feel prepared in the slightest.
Well, neither am I. I just grab some USBs and hope there's something not shit on there.
I know there's loads of not shit stuff on your USBs. The beauty of this is we haven't got a dance floor. We don't have to worry about anybody. We don't have to worry about reading the crowd or anything. We're literally just showing off our favourite tunes to each other, really, are we?
Yeah.
Go on, cool, man. I mean, my last few sets for the last year or so, I would say, it's like, right, got to play Lakeway music. I don't have to do that on this occasion, do I?
No. Well, you've got more confidence in them than I do. So
Brilliant. I wish I'd got a Donk remix of one of your tunes or something like that to throw on you. See, if I was that prepared, I would have done. Is there anything that you really, really want to play? Or is there anything you know about my style as a DJ which you're thinking, like, this might be a bit tricky?
I guess we'll find out. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, that is the
I'm just
beauty.
realising how fucking tired I look. Jesus.
Oh man, don't worry about that. The lights are bright. We're in Move Studios in Exeter. This is Come B2B with me. Let's see what happens. Let's go.
Let's go.
when I come. Yo, economy of the waller. How when me step in the place, them can't talk. Me turn evil, come me have a dagger. Shot in your blood clot back, make you can't walk. You see the gun, me a roll with taller. My war never stall or call up. Shotgun easy, they carry them sauna. Me a serious man, so me nah laugh. No boy, you got them when the thing beat. Man get chopped in a wall like mince, me chop them up fine. Babylon can't charge me for my crime. Because the gun in me yard them can't find. You get shot in the head from the carbine, and you were dead like your brethren last time. Pussy, remember the last time. Old one order, them up in on me and the blood clot father. Them are grateful and without a order. That's why we have to start get darker. Anybody claim them a father, watch me turn up and go here with the llama. Shot in the head but brain like guava. Them up in all that Zane and the master. Yeah, this is me to me warrior guy. When me walk, say me nah lift nobody alive. Knife, pushing a head shot, clap in a eye. Mother ball and me lift your girl happy a cry. Me a warlord, killer, slash mafia guy. See me run up in a war, start slapping a guy, slapping him up. Yes, sir, having him up. Straight suicide if you wanna clash me rock. I scream things like a rasta Kalashnikov. Got stripes and a nigga can't scratch them up. Try scratching them up, you get a smash in your trunk. I jump back on a nigga like a jack in a box. With a brand new thing that I touch in a box. Try this me, fam, I'm not having it cut. I'm a real bad man, you ain't mugging it up. Nah, you ain't mugging it up. One order, them up in on me and the blood clot father. Them are grateful and without a order. That's why we have to start get darker. Anybody claim them a father, watch me turn up and go here with the llama. Shot in a head, bust brain like guava. Them up in all that Zane and the master. Me got me a big slug, and if you catch one of them, you a go piss blood. Yeah, me have the gun, me make man shit in a bag. Broad here like what big stick in a hand. Me no business, none no particular one. When my gun a bust, me no mission a man. You know war man, drop gun kicking a man. No guy ever part with a wicked a man. We put you a go knife in a neck. From your diss me, your life be a deck. Practice all night you a get. Pussy work can't ride in a deck. So my way you say, can you will get knife in a chest. Fat man left your wifey, life in a mess. She witness the size of your chest. She witness the size of your chest. Old one order, them up in on me. 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 Them are grateful and without a order. That's why
my chest in the middle of the city. If you wanna be my guest, it's a bad man thing, so please don't bother act silly. I never wanna rent from Philly, get stung from Essex and tie from Leighton. When man's looking for a high grade, I wanna put a yard man blatant and tell him it's a bad man city. Pass me the herbs, I ain't showing no pity. You thought you were safe and sound where you landed. You fuck up on the bandits, now it's all gritty. Rasta, Barlet, Afro or Picky. Any one of them can rise up a thingy. When I roll with my dogs, I show no pity.
From me tell them Batman City. That's what me from me tell them Batman City. That's what me from me tell them Batman City. That's what me from me tell them Batman City. That's what me from me tell them Batman City. That's what me from me tell them Batman City. That's what me from me tell them Batman City. That's what me from me tell them Batman City.
Yes, I am.
City of sin that we're living in. Some fool by the wayside, some can swim. Bad man, a bad man, fool is a fool. I ain't following the rules when I do my thing. I got a bad attitude with a bad mentality. I know I value my bad man family. Every one of them, everybody like battery. Check out the bad man strategy. They just always looking for the tackle me. Back from Nate till I'm old and great. I'm the wickedest in the business. Don't forget I'm a dumpers, dope in the bad man way. I'm a fool with a purpose. None of them rules that I'm making are worthless. Keep me moving cold and green. Bad man see.
Batman City. That's what me from me tell them Batman City. That's what me from me tell them Batman City. That's what me from me tell them Batman City. That's what me from me tell them Batman City. That's what me from me tell them Batman City. That's what me from me tell them Batman City. That's what me from me tell them Batman City.
I'll fuck around, 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 down, 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 down. I'll fuck around. I'll fuck, I'll fuck, I'll fuck around. I'll fuck, I'll fuck around. I'll fuck
They got a master verse, God. Perfect. One more time.
thanks for the impact. Liquid melodies talk to me, thoughts flow through with syntax. Ducking and diving, see me weaving through heaving masses. My vision blurred, militant surge deep in the passage. There's no escape, you're just a red mark, my laser paints. Killer instinct sharp like the edge of a razor blade. Your body bag, squeeze of the trigger, the quick flash blind. Solar seek peace when the last enemy flatline. Flatline, flatline, flatline.
Sure.
For some people to leave, I got another trick up my sleeve.
What's my name? Oh, what's my name? Oh, what's my name? What's my name? What's my name? Oh, what's my name? Oh, what's my name? What's my name?
Break it up.
That was bonkers. Right, so a few disclaimers. When, like, on the other ones that I've done, I've asked if, like, if you want to go like 2 tunes each, 3 tunes each, or whatever. You actually asked that question after I finished pressing record. The decks were, there was a little bit of stickiness on the decks.
Yeah, there was a little bit of filter conundrums going on there.
Yeah. Whenever we had the effects on, just even on, you could feel them on the tunes. But despite that, and I think just from like long traveling down here and stuff, we've never played together. No. That was the most intense back-to-back type of mix scenario that I've ever done. Yeah. And there was a point where I thought that we were just going to play 140 and we weren't going to play any drum and bass and we weren't even going to play any Lakeway music or anything like that. Yeah. I think I played a tune of mine that I've done, and I'm not even a producer, before you played one of yours.
Yeah. It wasn't until the end where I thought, fuck it, this is for album promo. And I did that really horrible thing at the end.
And we had the batteries ran out on my audio recorder as well. But despite that, that was a really intense, awesome mixing session. That was wicked one.
I think I lost momentum a little bit when we ran out of batteries, but I think that's quite a normal thing to happen.
Definitely.
If you have to stop, you're probably going to lose momentum. That's just the way.
It's the way it's going to be, really. You lose the energy, yeah, totally. But I think because there was a point it was just like, there's not going to be any drum and bass, Like, should I take it up to drum and bass? We did take it up to drum and bass, and the energy probably came back.
And then came up hard as fuck.
That mix, there was one particular mix which I absolutely loved. I can't remember what else was in there, but it was Deadline. It was the Need for Mirrors remix of Deadline.
I think that was Face and Wasabi. Rave Changing, yes. I think it's called. Yes. Yeah.
Actually, one of my favourite mixes that I did was a Face tune as well, the Fuego tune. That was like what my observation of you as a DJ is that you're way better at 3-deck mixing than I possibly ever could be. I think you just have.
I find 2 decks more difficult. Like, yeah, I genuinely do, because I hate using cue points and all that. So just anticipate it and be ready in advance rather than fucking up.
Yeah. So you've always got a mix going on and you're preparing instead of kind of waiting for the moment. What I really loved is seeing your use of loops. Like, everybody else who I've done this on hasn't really kind of used loops as much and has observed that I use loops quite a lot. You use loops, but I noticed you do them manually.
Yeah, I mean, it's a get out of jail free card, really, isn't it? Yeah, but I'm so used to not really taking on board new technologies.
Go on, because now since like on my controller I can do like either 2, 1, 2, 3 or 4 bar. So when you see the 4 or 8, I just press them. But I saw you tapping that in, which was nicely old school. But yeah, I think you can tell that you played in a lot more clubs than me. The speed of your mixing, the energy of your mixing, the way that you had things lined up. Yeah, man, you're a wicked DJ.
Thank you. You too.
Go on, cool. Has it changed? Like, when we started, you said you hadn't done that many B2Bs. Kind of joked that you're a bit of a narcissist, but I think it is. I mean, like DJing is like it's the most egocentric thing you can possibly do, but it's also one of those ego-lust things you can do when you're setting each other little puzzles. Has it changed your perspective on B2Bs in any way?
I suppose it depends who you're doing with. Like, I think the thing that puts me off is if a promoter puts you on a B2B with someone you've never played with before. I think that's the thing that made me dislike B2Bs. And then you get up there and you already know straight away it's not working that well. And that's in a professional environment as well. So it's almost like you've been a bit fucked over in a way. Yeah.
Literally just for the sake of getting bums on seats, and then the crowd are going to get a shit fucking situation. Because we've never mixed before, but we're talking daily because we're releasing your music. We're friends, so we kind of know each other. I know you're mixing, so I kind of had an idea. But yeah, when you're thrown into it and you might like the person, you might know their tunes, but if you've never really kind of done anything together and then suddenly you're in front of hundreds, thousands of people, that must be terrifying.
I suppose the other way of seeing it is if it goes too well and people like it too much, you run the risk of being accidentally putting it into a double act. Which I think that's where the ego thing comes in, of course, because
Massively.
yeah.
Well, I think we were like, because there was a term that Eon came up on one of the previous episodes, alligator wrangling or alligator wrestling, when you're kind of just about getting the mix in. And there was a lot of that going on between us. So I don't think we're ever going to be, I don't think anybody watching that mix is going to think that's a class double act. But I think there are a lot of people who are going to absolutely love that. There was a point where I thought we were just going to keep it strictly 140. There was a lot of wobbly noises, wasn't there?
Yeah, that was fun. It's always, especially because I don't actually play that much like 130 and 140 in my actual sets, it's always fun to sort of like not worry about pissing anyone off who's paid money to come in. Like,
I was expecting Lakeway to play drum and bass. But you said something, because we've since eaten, and now we've come back to Lakeway's house before doing this interview. You were saying while we were eating that you find it quite hard to play your own tunes. And this is like, because I was trying to think, like, I really want to throw in like releases. I didn't even pack any Lakeway tunes because I thought you'd have them more. We played one. No, two Lakeway tunes, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, if I listen to my tunes, they either feel like set openers or set closers. It's putting them in between other people's tunes that becomes so much more challenging. Like, I suppose, imposter syndrome on a very literal level.
Yeah, totally, but you shouldn't do, because I've been dropping your tunes left, right and centre, and I've been mixing with you this afternoon, and it's been absolutely amazing. So Lakeway, I feel I know you more now from mixing with you. Next time we'll just go back to the normal good old school traditional interviewing and stuff like that. But big up to everybody who's watched this mix. This has been Come B2B With Me, and if you fancy a B2B with me, I'm literally up for it with any DJ. Like, I've got the tunes to have a good mix with you. I might not be able to have a quality mix with you or something professional, but we'll have a vibe, and that's exactly what it's all about. Come B2B with me. Thank you very much, Lakeway, man. Wicked. See you soon. Ciao.
Come B2B with me.